All right, hi. Uh, Happy Saturday. um, Obviously it's that time of the month, or actually the portion of the year, I should say, that every other that for every month with the changing season, how I always done it, I always go over the current makeup of the federal government, and since we did one in March, June, and September, and since it's December for another 4 or 5 days, might as well do one for the month, like always. So, we're gonna go over the current makeup of the federal government, and yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and kind of jump right into it. Ignore that I'm watching Hell's Kitchen right now, but I wanted to pause it so I can do this and take a shower because I would like to take a shower. Okay, so we're gonna start out over in the legislative branch, which is obviously Congress. Um, Up until January 3rd, which just so happens to be next week, we will be in the second session of the 119th Congress, which is our current Congress. So, of the actual makeup, we're going to briefly talk about each house kind of as simplified as possible, like always. So, over in the upper house, which is known as the Senate, 100 members in total. It hasn't changed since the day after Trump's second inauguration. So of the 100 members in total, there are 53 Republicans, 45 Democrats, and 2 independents, but they kind of clause along with the Democrats. So it's really 53-47. The President pro tempore, which is the most senior senator of the majority party, as in the person that has served for the longest, is Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa. He is a Republican. The majority leader is Republican John Thune of South Dakota. The minority leader is Democrat Chuck Schumer of New York. And there are currently no vacancies in the Senate. However, there are 2 special elections set for the midterms coming up next year. There's one in Ohio and one in Florida. Why do we have to have special elections for those 2 states? Well, here in Ohio, then Senator J.D. Vance had to resign his seat to become Vice President of the United States. And so Ohio Governor Mike DeWine appointed the Lieutenant Governor at the time, John Husted, to fill the seat. And he is the current incumbent of that seat. He is up for re-election, I guess you could say. But the thing is, with this one, John Husted is, obviously up for re-election, even though he hasn't fully won his own actual seat. And ironically, his actual seat is up for re-election grabs, technically, in 2028, which is during the next presidential cycle. So whoever the winner is of the special election next year will have to run again in 2 years' time. Over in Florida, the incumbent of that seat was Marco Rubio, but he had to resign after being confirmed by his fellow senators for him to become Secretary of State. And, well, everyone voted in that confirmation vote on the Senate floor, except for himself. in which it was unanimous. So yeah, he became Secretary of State, and the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, appointed Ashley Moody to that seat, and she is going to be she also, just like John Hughes did, is up for re-election, even though that seat's actual time to be up for grabs for re-election is technically the next presidential cycle in 2028. I know it's kind of complicated. Both seats are kind of right now are expected to be Republican, but they're either likely or it's either lean or tilt Republican for those seats at least. Now, going over to the other side of the building, to the House of Representatives. Now, these numbers are as of the 4th of December, which was about 3 weeks ago on Christmas. And so out of all 435 members of the House, we have 220 Republicans, 213 Democrats, and 2 vacancies. In terms of the body leadership of both parties, the Speaker is Republican Mike Johnson of Louisiana 4. The Majority Leader is Republican Steve Scalise from Louisiana 1. Yeah, both the Speaker and Majority Leader are both from the same state. And the Minority Leader is Democrat Hakeem Jeffries of New York 8. Now, like mentioned, there are 2 vacancies. The first is going based on order of when the vacancies actually occurred. First up, we have Texas 18. There was a special election primary that occurred on Election Day this year, in which if not one candidate gets more than 50% of the votes, the top 2 will be heading up in a runoff election. And so, the top 2 for that seat are both Democrats. So, the seat will remain under a Democrat control. So, we could chalk one up for the Democrats for that one, right? Well, not quite. So that special election occurred on, like how I said, on Election Day on November 4th. According to Governor Greg Abbott, the runoff election is on the 31st of January. Yeah. Why would he have it on that day? I don't know. It's based on his constitutional duties. The other vacancy is New Jersey 11. The incumbent had to resign after she was elected to be the next governor of New Jersey, Mikey Sherrill. That special election is scheduled to be on April 16th. Now, there is something I do need to mention, is that there is going to be another special election because on the 5th of January of next year, which is, about, I'd say probably about 10 days-ish from now, Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia 14 announced that she would resign on January 5th, which will slim down the Republican majority even more. Now, going based on some information that I had to look up, because the special election had to be called within 10 days of the vacancy, but not less than 30 days. So my prediction is that the special election for Georgia 14, once Marjorie Taylor Greene resigns, will probably be February 10th of next year. That's my guess. But when that information actually happens after she resigns, and when I do a video of me actually doing it, then, you know, we'll get over to it. Okay, so that's Congress. Congress is done the talking about. So we're going to briefly go over the presidential line of succession. I'm only going to do the month and day that each of these guys took office, except for 2 offices as tradition. And for parties, everyone except for Health and Human Services and Chief Justice are Republican. The first 2 were they're considered as independents. So I'm not going to say the parties. So yeah, we're just going to jump right into it. I'm pretty sure we all know who most of all of these guys are now, but, you know, we're a year into the new term. We're all well aware of it, because some of these guys have been in some or a lot of hot water. And a lot are just guilty by association. But anyways, President of the United States, Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, both took office on January 20th. Speaker of the House, like how I mentioned before, is Mike Johnson since the 25th of October of 2023. You know, after they ousted Kevin McCarthy as Speaker. President pro tempore of the Senate, Chuck Grassley, since January 3rd of this year. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, since January 21st. Treasury, Scott Bessent, since the 28th of January. Defense, Pete Hegseth, since January 25th. Attorney General, Pam Bondi, since February 5th. Interior, Doug Burgum, since February 1st. Agriculture, Brooke Rollins, since February 13th. Commerce, Howard Lutnick, since the 21st of February. Labor, we have Lori Chavez DeRemer, since March 11th. Health and Human Services, we have Robert Kennedy Jr., since February 13th. Housing and Urban Development, we have Scott Turner, since February 5th. Transportation, we have Sean Duffy, since January 28th. Energy, we have Chris Wright, with a W, on March 3rd. Veterans Affairs, we have Doug Collins, since February 5th. Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, since January 25th. And Chief Justice is, once again, still John Roberts. He just hit 20 years a couple months ago, as I mentioned in the last time I did this, back in September. Obviously, he's been in office since September 29th of 2005. Which takes us over to the Supreme Court. So, John Roberts is obviously a Chief Justice. He was appointed by George W. Bush with a vote of 78-22. And like how I mentioned already, he has been in office since September 29th of 2005. And going based on seniority for these guys, Clarence Thomas, appointed by Bush Sr., with a vote of 52-48, and he began his term on October 23rd of 1991. Samuel Alito, appointed by Bush Jr., with a confirmation vote of 58-42, And his term started on January 31st of 2006. Sonia Sotomayor, appointed by Obama, with a vote of 68-31. She began her term on August 8th of 2009. Alana Kagan, appointed by Obama, with a vote of 63-37. And she started her term on August 7th of 2010. Up next, Neil Gorsuch, appointed by Trump, with a vote of 54-45, and he began his term on April 10th of 2017. Brett Kavanaugh is next, also appointed by Trump, with a vote of 50-48, and he began his term on October 8th of 2018. Up next, Amy Coney Barrett, also appointed by Trump, with a vote of 52-48, and she began her term on October 27th of 2020. And the most recent member of the Supreme Court to be added, we have Ketanji Brown Jackson, appointed by Joe Biden, with a vote of 53-47, and she began her term on June 30th of 2022. Alright, so that's all we have for today's special video. I really do apologize. I spent the entirety of the first 12 minutes just rambling on about random stuff and going on in Congress. I really do apologize for that. So yeah, this is one of two special videos for the weekend, and as we wrap up the year on the channel. Stay tuned tomorrow for a special Pokemon Go video where I showcase where I'm at in terms of all my stats and all the Pokemon I've had and acquired, conquered, whatever, of the regular decks, the shiny decks, Megas, and Gigantamax, like always. I'm going to try to stay on top of that, at least showing that off at least once a month, hopefully. Next year is going to be kind of complicated with how I do that, but you guys will see. Alright, so that's all I have for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. We'll see you then.